It's showtime. What's up, guys? Happy June 19th, 2026. And I'm so glad that I'm back here with you guys today. It's been a while since I've been on camera. You know, we had a great season of Car Biz Leaders Live, and it was going epically well, and then life happens. So if you haven't seen me for a long time, um, I'm back. Had to deal with a couple of crazy things in my life, but I'm feeling good about being home. I am bringing to you today how to bust through your blocks. And believe me, I've had a few of them. Okay. In fact, I've had so many that I had an epiphany, right? I was like, oh, maybe it's like I had to go through all this stuff to bring you the goodies, right? To bring you how I have overcome. So here today, sharing with you guys on how to bust through your blocks, because I feel like it's epically important for people who are feeling stuck, overwhelmed, afraid, okay, and are not really happy with where they're at in life right now. So this isn't the first time I've ever done this. It probably won't be the last. But in next month, I am going to be traveling to Austin to share this amongst 500 women in automotive. And I wanted to kind of do a practice. So this time it's free, okay? It's free this one time. And the next time, we'll see. So without further ado, I'm going to get this party started. And this is how I'm going to help you to bust through your blocks. So without further ado, let's get this show on the road. Okay, here we go. Welcome again. This is your girl, busting through the blocks. All right. So like I told you before, I'm doing this at a conference. So this is my little run through for you all to get a good feel of how to do this. And the reason why I chose this is because it's really close to my story. And also because I feel like, even though I'm doing it for a bunch of women, this is for men too. Okay. So come along on the journey and let's see if we can't bust through some blocks together. So here we go. Look, if you do not like where you're at, if you're feeling like the world is against you, just know you're not alone. Okay. It's time that we can bust through. And I just want to remember that, we're all fucking powerful, spiritual, amazing human beings, right? That can do some incredible stuff. And that, life, we can become the creator of the story. We do not have to be on the sideline just letting things happen to us. We can really start to take control of our stuff. And these are some of the things that I do and have done to really create my own reality. All right. So, first of all, this is the first step. It's a very, it's the hardest part, honestly, because it forces you to put the responsibility on yourself, right? If you're feeling stuck, if you know you're capable of more, if the right opportunities aren't happening for you, you must take a look in the mirror, okay? Because a lot of people will tell you it's your fault and this and that. And there's a lot of worldly things happening, okay? So you have to be able to have a relationship with yourself, all right? And that relationship begins with honesty, right? My teacher, Marty Beregan, she's like, the only person you really need to be honest with is yourself, right? At the end of the day, as long as you are honest with you, right? That's all that matters. And sometimes it's hard to do because we do not want to take responsibility. We do not want to look at our own actions, but that is honestly where it begins. So, It begins with taking an honest look in the mirror. Like, you are not going to get the promotion if you show up for work 20 minutes late, right? You are not going, like, everybody expects something, right? Like, oh, this is magically, I'm entitled, I need this, whatever. No, you really need to be very honest with yourself and like, what do we need to work on? For me, for a long time, it was like I needed to quit smoking, I needed to quit drinking, I needed to do a lot of things. I needed to get more disciplined in my work. I needed to start working out. All these things that like I did not want to do. But it was extremely important, right? So the reality is like, where am I at right now? Like what what is going on with me? Right? Like, and really start to really look at yourself and where you want to go in life. All right. So let's get that party started. Now, what am I talking about with the blocks? Okay. So usually it's like some excuse you have. Sometimes it's like a mental block, right? Like, I don't understand why, right? Or sometimes it's like your subconscious programming, or a lot of it is like your belief systems. There's a lot of things going on that are just like preventing you from like moving to where you need to go. It's like the it's the it's the thing that stops you. Like, even sometimes it's this, right? Sometimes it's your phone, it's the distractions, it's all kinds of things that are just like blocking you from having complete focus on what you need to do, right? And the work that needs to be done. And you gotta know that you can bust through these things, right? You can work on them. It's not a permanent situation. All right. And we all have them in every area of our life. I don't care how amazing you are of a person. In fact, sometimes the more amazing person that you are, all right, I like to think, maybe you're faking it. But, here's the truth. We all got blocks, man. Sometimes they're put on us by society. Sometimes it's our world that we live in. Sometimes it's our subconscious. Sometimes it's just out of our control, but it doesn't mean that we cannot control it. I have a saying I like to use. It's like, learn the rules of the game so well so you know how to break them. Okay. Like, there is ways that we can get around these blocks, and hopefully I'm going to show you some of the steps that I took to get through them. Okay. All right. So, oh my God, why do we stay stuck? Okay. We've got, oh, it's my boss, right? Oh, it's outside of me. It's all happening outside of me. But if you can show how you really put it on inside of you, right? You got to put it, take it. Okay, what if I can do this? Like, maybe it's your thinking. Maybe it's you don't want to pay the money. Maybe it's you're not willing to take the chance. Maybe you're afraid. Maybe it's, what are people going to think of me? Okay. There's a lot of ways that we stay stuck, right? Like, oh, I don't know the answer to this, or that's not the right answer for me. In this world, this digital world that we're living in, and I want you to know, like, these are my beautiful AI slides. Thank you, AI. It does beautiful things for you. But at the end of the day, like, behind the AI, like, it's still you, right? And you cannot, some of these like chains that we have are like self-created, right? And maybe you didn't even create them. Maybe they were passed on from you from generations, right? Like, all of that genetic crap, right? That's been coming on you, all the society programming, right? All of this stuff to keep us from reaching our true potential, right? I think Grant Card, when I really started taking off in my career, I'll tell you right now that it began with this one saying, and it was Grant Cardone challenged you in like one of his speaking. This was before he became big time. And he said, you know, seek your potential. And I was like, huh. And then a lot of people maybe, just take that in, right? But I decided to like really test it, like what am I capable of, right? And that has sort of like evolved over the years. But like, what am I truly capable of? What can I do? Like, if I'm truly a powerful, spiritual, human being here to, raise up people and this planet, what does that look like? Right. And so it begins with like a lot of energy, right? And like getting good and like becoming like this ultimate like powerhouse of a person. And believe me, this is a work in making. Like I am I'm like we're chiseling the sculpture here. Like it's not 100% done yet, right? But it is, it'll be a masterpiece. So I think that a lot of people are, don't recognize what's actually happening to them. They're not aware of it. Um, a lot of us are spending time, I don't know, I'm scrolling a lot lately. So, what is that doing to our brains? What is the outside? What are people going to think of me? What is that doing to us? Like, how can we take control of that? And most people don't even realize, like, eh, everybody's in their own head, right? Everybody's feeling these things. Nobody cares that much about you, you know, nobody. A lot of the stuff that is going through our brains is just noise, right? But it does block us from moving forward. And that's because we are not aware of it. Okay. So when you become consciously aware of the things that are keeping you stuck, you are able to start working your way out of that. Now, let's talk about this. Okay. How do we get out of that? So I'll tell you a little bit about my story, and I'm not even going to go too deep into it because here's the reality. I'm from Michigan. I was born and raised here. We call it the Motor City, Metro Detroit area, really the suburbs. But if you're from the suburbs of Detroit, we always say Detroit. So we can point to it where we live on our hand. We're a very nice people here up in Michigan. Okay, we're very friendly. Okay, it's kind of like our Midwestern charm. All right, we have accents. If you haven't been able to determine, all right, and I was never a good student. I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was very young. I don't even know if that was it. Like, here's the thing. I was an extremely emotional child. And I didn't really know what was going on. I just was extremely emotional. I had a normal childhood. My family was normal, you know. My mom worked very hard as a gym teacher growing up. She was also my mom worked at the school that I went to. My dad was a computer genius. And it was growing up, I went to this very prestigious private school where people were super rich. Okay, so my family was well off, not like upper middle class family, very normal, typical stuff, successful people, but in comparison, it was just, I felt very less than, left out, lonely. And my mom was working her butt off, right? She was a coach. And so I would be at this school until sometimes 10 o'clock at night, right? And so I made friends with like the cleaning people. And I always just helped out, right? I was always surrounded by adults. And I remember them like, this is when they could smoke back in the buildings. Like all the cleaning people like sitting around their break table, like smoking cigarettes. And, I was just waiting for my mom to get off work. So these are very long, lonely days. And by the time that my mom did get off work, um, she was exhausted. She wanted to just go to her room. And so, I was sort of a kid left up to my own devices. And I think maybe I was blessed in that area. I wasn't overparented. In fact, I think I was way underparented. But it allowed me to really become myself, right? I did get in trouble a lot growing up. I can tell you right now, because of the ADHD, I never got an A in school. I was never an A student. I think the first time I ever got an A, I was in college. Um, I decided that I wanted to be a fashion designer. I always loved fashion. It was a way for me and my mom to connect, Um, and so, I went out to San Francisco and, it was just a very dark time for me. Um, when you discover that you're an empath, like, I didn't really know what I was or what was happening to me probably until about maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I was like, oh, that's it. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Oh, that's why I was so depressed. Oh, that's why I was hearing voices. Oh, that's why, right? Because I am, a very empathic person, right? And, um, I have, you know, abilities probably beyond a lot of normal people. And I don't like to share that very much because people are like, oh my God, she's weird, you know. But when I truly discovered like who I am and what my purpose is here, um, my childhood and all the things that had happened to me started to make a lot of sense, right? And I think that's what people don't get is, um, you know, like sometimes you don't get the answer to things until much later in life, right? When you figure it out. So, um, I've been cruising along. I went to art school. I had the blessing of working with my dad. He started a billion-dollar tech company and got me a job. I always wanted to be in sales because you can control your own outcome. And that's kind of like what I fell in love with. I fell in love with selling. Obviously, Grant Cardone has been a tremendous help to me. I tell everybody about him. He's really helped me get really gnarly at sales. And so I got so good, right? I got so good. I was blowing past all these people that I was working with, and I was really going along. And then, you know, every company that I worked at just said, you make too much money, or they felt like they wanted to change things on me. And I get that from after owning a business for, 9 years. Like I understand why they did what they did. But at the time, to me, it felt so personal. So by the third company, once I got into this line of work that I'm in now, that I made too much money, I said, okay, I got to go. And I started my own company. Well, the kicker here is that when you start your own company, man, you work 4 times as hard for like a quarter of the money. Like one day you're going to make it, you know? So I started my own business. That business is called Royalty Logistics. And I started in my living room with no money. And I began. So this is really the beginning of how I got here, right? Like, there's reasons why I was blocked. Like I was like, okay, they go do big business, but anytime I would make a mistake, they would put a rule on me, right? Like they would try to like box me in. And so it's like, oh, here we go. Now, trust me, sometimes I want to be boxed in today. I don't have a lot of people telling me, no, you can't do that, although sometimes I wish I would. But everything that I've learned so far has been a lesson that, like, I can kind of like take with me and share with you, right? So, like, if you think that, like, oh my God, this has never happened, like, I've done every single mistake you could possibly make. I've had all kinds of horrible things happen, some in my control, some out of my control. Maybe I didn't push the button fast enough, like all these things, right? Like, everything is figure it outable. All right. We can get through this. So, yeah, about 3 years ago, I started really taking my meditation to the next level. And I'll get to that as one of my things that I talk about. But I don't know, when they say that the student is ready, the teacher appears. And I was introduced to my teacher, and she's really just helped me change my life, right? So this is kind of like her challenge to me. And I hope, Marty, if you're watching, I hope you're proud. um I think a lot of us, you know I've been blessed, that somebody saw me and decided to make me a boss. I've been blessed to have my own company. I've been truly blessed, like, to be surrounded by people that, like, really see me for who I am and care. Um, and yeah, and I got to create my dream job, and make a lot of money doing it. So I've been very blessed. All right. So if you we talked about the first step of, like, being honest with yourself. Okay, like, this is where I'm at now. But in order to kind of get to the next level, you have to kind of decide, like, what it is that you want to go, right? If you don't know where you're going, how are you going to get there? If you don't see what's in the future, like, how do you know what to change in the present, right? What you got to work on. And a lot of people, you know, when I talk about money, like, money's just like sometimes that is in itself blocks you, like, well, it's not always about money. No, it's not, but you need it, right? You need money. You need money to create your vision. Okay. And you need to think about how much it's going to cost. Now, one of the things that I'll tell you is one of my blocks is that sometimes it doesn't cost as much as you think, right? It's not that much money. It's really not. So I want you to think about where you want to go, right? So 3 years ago, I knew I needed to speak. I wanted to speak. I don't know, maybe I wanted to speak in front of my company. I thought I was going to have, like, this, massive company that was, like, kind of like the original vision. You refine it as you go along. Maybe that is the vision too, but you got to get clear on what the future looks like, because that's the way that you can reverse engineer it, right? That's how you can bring in people that'll help you. And maybe your vision is, just getting paid to do you, right? Maybe your vision is traveling on a boat somewhere, not having to worry about things. But then would you be bored, right? So you got to have a clear vision of what you want to do. A lot of people have been like, climb to the top of the ladder and become the CEO of your world. Okay. Well, I'm here and I'm going to tell you, it ain't it ain't all sunshine and rainbows, guys. This is a difficult uh you know seat to be sitting in, right? It comes with a lot of pressure, and a lot of stress. So maybe you don't want that. Maybe you want stress free. Maybe you just, my sister always jokes, she's like, I don't want to change jobs. you know she's like, I go in, I do my time, I come out, I'm good, right? So, is your job paying for the life that you want? What does that life look like? Okay. What does your future version of yourself look like? And you got to write it down, right? Because if you write it down, then it becomes real, right? You can't just imagine it in your head, right? You've got to write it down. That's why people do vision boards. That's why people do all this stuff. I'm going to tell you, I look at my vision boards, they come true. Sometimes it magically works. Okay. You have to start looking at who you want to be, right? The character that you want to play. And then you have to become that character. Okay. And sometimes that character takes a lot of work. So I'm going to show you how to begin to do that. All right. So everybody talks about like the zone, right? Like get into the zone, get into the flow, right? And it goes back to that finding what your potential, right? And this is sort of like how I explain things. I'm very much spend a lot of time in masculine energy, action, drive, going, you know, um, and then you got to mix your little bit of feminine in it too, like just being and receiving and allowing things to happen and making it beautiful, right? So my secret sauce here is like marrying those two together. Okay. Like marrying those two. Because when you can like encompass like the masculine of, you know, um, moving forward, taking care of business, the protection, everything like that. And then you can balance it with the receiving. Oh, you become so powerful, so powerful. And then that's how I get into the zone, right? So it's just part of like what I do to succeed, So it's also going to help you to um to and like my leadership level allows me to align with this. Okay. All right. We talked about this a little bit when we were looking in the mirror and getting honest with ourselves, but you know, you have to recognize some of your patterns, and I think I like to thank Facebook for this because you can go back and look at your memories and you're like, oh, on this particular day, I was going through the same thing, right? So it's how do I step outside of my comfort zone? Like I can tell you right now, it took 3 years for me to get on camera and do this. Now I've done it hundreds of times, you know, and there's lots of people doing it, and there's people out there with thousands of followers, millions of followers, you know, um, and they have this like very cheesy energy, and you're just like, yeah, okay, oh my god, what I was like, oh my god, guys, oh my god, right? But here's the reality, like um we came here to feel our feelings, okay? And we came here to learn specific lessons in order to evolve, right? And when you start to see some of these patterns, when you start to see some of these lessons that like keep repeating, it's not forcing you to change. It's forcing you to recognize that you need to, you know, see why this particular thing keeps happening to you. What is unhealed in your system? About 3 years ago, I really came into understanding what I was trying to avoid the whole time. Like, what am I avoiding here? What don't I want to look at? Right. And it requires some deep work and no fear, right? Like you cannot be afraid. Like you really have to get into this. It's a lot of work, and the question is like, why don't you want to do it? Right? Why don't you want to do it? Because it I would call it like the universe will like tap you, then it'll smack you, then it'll punch you in the face, then it'll fucking punch you in the gut, then it'll like beat you down to the ground, then it'll like more punching, right? And you're like, ah. So that's like what happens when you like avoid like what really works. I don't know how to explain it. It's terrible. Okay. How do we figure out what the hell is going on in our heads? What are we thinking? Okay. Like, what am I thinking? Like, if you think about if your thoughts create your reality, right? If your thoughts create your reality, but you don't know if you think like a million thoughts a minute, how do I slow that down? Right. And meditation is how this journey began. And I started working with a lot of teachers in this area about how to just like get good. I think I've logged now a boatload of hours of meditation, and I'm listening to myself, right? I'm listening to myself. I'm slowing down the thoughts, and then you can kind of see like the patterns that you repeat to yourself. You can also hear it too, like, oh, I've said this before. Oh, okay. Is this really working for me? So when you slow down um, your thoughts a little bit, and then you become the witness. Okay. So, like, there's a lot of things out there on the internet that say, like, um, you're not your thoughts, you're the one witnessing them, like, your soul is witnessing them. And so you can kind of like, as a real soul, right? You can sort of been like, bing, I want that one, I don't want that one. Or when they come in, right? Like, all right, swipe left, swipe right. But, or can you change them, right? And you can go, is this true? Is this true? You know? And just because the internet says it's true doesn't mean it is, right? So, I spent a lot of time in meditation. It's really helped me. And I highly recommend it to everybody, because you cannot begin to change something if you're not aware of what's happening. And then, okay, so you got your loud chatter, okay? Chatter, 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 chatter. And if you don't do the meditation, you can't hear the little whisper, right? And that's when, you kind of get to the God part about it, right? And that's like that's just a little whisper. Now, I don't care, who your God is. I've read many religions, and I think they're beautiful. And but it's the little whisper. It's the little person. It's the you inside, right? It's your truth. It's who you are. And when you let that guide you, right, then you can start to really, really start to change things, right? I think, I think we all need a little bit of faith, right? And I don't care if you call it a higher power, your higher self, or the divine, or God, or Jesus, or, Allah. I don't care, right? You need to have faith, right? You need to believe that there is something bigger than you, because, there really is. It's impossible. And it may be you, right? It may be you. It may be you. Right? Nobody really knows. But I just know that it's a little whisper, and it's not loud. And so you got to do the meditation to kind of quiet these things down. Oh yeah. All right. So I read a very I love this part. Okay, listen. I did not, like, you have to get pumped up. The music part, it's like so important. Okay, this is like the best part. Like, the lyrics are a mantra, right? You have, like, we're talking about thoughts. We're talking about what's going into our main. We're talking about subconscious program. You gotta like read your lyrics. Okay, what are these people saying? This is part of the programming. So I create these playlists. Okay. And I have some songs and I share them with everybody. Okay. But I'm so into this, right? So if you even Michael Jackson was talking about it, like, he's like, music is a mantra. And so there's these songs, right? And they become like these thoughts in your head, these mantras, right? And so you get to pick and choose, like, which songs are going to help you, right? What songs are going to like move you in the direction that you want, right? And so if you want my playlist, I'll share it with you. But I'm so much into this. It's not even funny because to get you need to get it going, right? And find your music. Okay, so I was breaking down like language and um, you know, I do a lot of stuff on the internet that I do when I'm stressed out. And so I begin to like, all right, like if I'm working and I'm stressed out and I'm right and I got my music going, then I want to get into the flow again, right? And so it's like you got to be silly, you got to be stupid, and you got to learn to just dance, right? And that sort of like releases some like of these like emotions that like we hold in our body, right? Like we hold these tense stressful moments in our body and it's overwhelming. So you know I just want to get everybody dancing, get it flowing, and like sometimes like I'll start moving my body and then I begin to cry, right? Because my 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 mental body just sort of turns off and like now I'm like, okay, I can move through this with a good flow again. And then when those emotions start to come up, right? um like just to go ahead and like feel them, right? um So for a long time in my life, like I was like, nope, we're not going to feel that. Nope, we're not going to feel that one either. Um, but about maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, I got the courage to just say, okay, I'm gonna go through this and I'm gonna feel it. Like I'm really gonna feel this. I'm gonna feel the scared. I'm gonna feel the hurt. I'm gonna feel the pain. I'm gonna feel the betrayal. I'm gonna feel the sadness, and I'm just going to feel it. And when I decided to go through those emotions, like, oh, lo and behold, once you feel them, experience them, recognize them, then they don't haunt you anymore. They don't, they go away. You've honored them, right? You've honored your feelings, and it's just a way that you can really start to like power up here. A lot of us are like, nope, we don't want to feel that. Nope, I don't like that. Oh, I don't want to deal with that, right? And sometimes it was like for me as like a business owner, like I am not even able to process all of them at the moment. Like, oh, okay, I have to put this over here for now. And that's sort of like, or like, ooh, I locked them away so much that I can't access them, So sometimes like the music will help you access your feelings. Oprah used to like help me I would cry during Oprah like all the time. Um, these are things that I would just do in order to like sort of help me access my feelings, right? And then you can ask yourself, like, why am I feeling this way? And usually it connects to like something that you're thinking, right? And then you can kind of change it, right? You can get a new perspective. You got to honor what's happening to you because that's your own truth. Don't be afraid. They will not kill you. And then they go away miraculously. Ah, what a relief. Okay. So now this part is, how I help you, right? Um, I learned I'm kind of a powerful I'm kind of a powerful person, Um and you know, it's not that I'm like constantly obsessed with like my physique or anything, though I know a lot of people are. Shoot, half of America is. We're all, so many people have on the GLP-1s and all these things, right? And so you got to be careful, like what you take into your body, right? Because, like, and how you take care of yourself. Like, there's a lot of times I am sitting, I'm tense, I'm like here, I'm there, I'm like all these things, right? But this is really about like just taking care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Like there's like people out there like, what is self-care? Like self-care, you need that, right? Like there's so much tension right now in like my face, right? Like there's only so much. I'm a powerful human being. I can heal a lot. I can do a lot of self-healing, but sometimes you need external help too. Okay. But there's nothing wrong with having the looks either. Okay. So try to take care of yourself. So, how did I get here? Right? Like, how did I create this whole thing? What is undeniable? Like, undeniable is like one of my core values because, I always say, like, I'm an easy target, but a formidable enemy. And it's because I look innocent, I look innocent. Sometimes I'm not. But I have, like I'm short, I'm a female, you know, I've got, but undeniable, man, undeniable is all about the numbers. It's like, it's like, a lot of people will go out there and they'll say, you know, that they're this or they're that. And maybe they're, creating that as their reality, right? But when you are the real deal, right? You know, and there's a lot of talk out there talk, 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 talk. But when you're the real deal, you got the numbers to back it up, you know. Um, And I think that's what I've recognized over the years. So, like, how did I become undeniable? I tested that potential. I said, all right, numbers don't lie. And I think, it's about like finding like your real truth, right? Um, like becoming absolutely undeniable is like, okay, I made it to this room. I earned my spot, right? And I did it in a way that was honest and authentic and absolutely undeniable. So I'll tell you right now, undeniable, man. It's like cannot be denied, right? Cannot deny it. And so many I've had an opportunity to talk to so many people, and sometimes it's like almost like you've got to believe it here in your heart too, right? You just got to believe it. And everybody makes mistakes. I think, we're all human beings. We're all trying to do the best we can, right? We're all trying to serve our purpose. But to me, it begins with becoming undeniable. And that means like the best of the best. I tell my son every day, I said, I don't care what you do, but you got to be the best at it. Whatever you do, you got to become the best. And that takes practice. That takes time. That takes effort, energy, money. Like it's not like an overnight thing, right? This is years in the making. And, here I am. I put this whole thing together. And, we got like 2 people that are going to watch it, when it's the real deal. Like, what is that saying about what we're being fed to? So I wish you all out there, like, you got to become undeniable. And you can always go back to self-awareness. Okay, what else needs work? We can always come back to that. My favorite one. Okay, start before you need it. A lot of people out there, like, how did you do this? Like, I started before I needed. Like, don't go quit your job, start a company without having some money or without a new company, right? Like, you start the process where if you know the situation's got to end, right? And and this is all about like the preparation, right? Like, you know, here I am, I'm doing this talk. This isn't the talk. The talk is in July, right? But then I can go back and look and go, oh, that was not good. I shouldn't say that. Maybe I need to change this. Okay. I'm starting before I need to do it, right? Because it's all about the preparation. Preparation meets opportunity. That's real luck. All right. That's where it all begins. That's the deal there. So when I knew that, I was in an abusive, work situation, I didn't want to be there. I started taking steps, you know, um, started taking steps to like have this, right? If you, and a lot of things are like, well, what's stopping you? It's 50 freaking dollars. It's nothing. It's 5 minutes and $50 to just freaking get started. But so many people are like, well, they get caught up. I hear like a lot of people want to start a business. They're like, oh, I know I need to start a business. Well, what's stopping you? Like, well, should I get, sometimes I hear it's like, well, I don't know what kind, like, should it be LLC or S Corp? Dude, just get one, get both. Don't think about it, right? Like a lot of stuff is just like we put it in front of us and it stops us from doing the things that we need to do, I got 4 businesses. I operate 2 of them. It takes 5 minutes, All right. Start before you need it. Sometimes you can and sometimes you can't. Sometimes you don't have a choice. Okay. Sometimes, but if you can start before you need it, I highly recommend. Oh, my throat's getting tired. All right. Before, you got to know your value. So I was working for this last company. Now, mind you, I've tried to hire a lot of people over the years and, so I want to show you how you can calculate your value. All right. What are you capable of? What's your potential? Right. Okay. I'm working on my potential. My potential was 7 average employees. That's what this girl can do. 7 average employees. So I did the math. Okay. If you hired 7 average employees, okay, at $50,000 plus whatever their insurance costs, plus whatever their benefits cost, right? So usually that adds up to be like, $100,000 a person per company, right? Per person, minimum if they're making $50,000, right? If you're like paying them decent and their mistakes and all this stuff, it's like $100,000 a person. So I know I'm worth 7 people. So then I can simply do the math, like $700,000, right? Like that's what I'm worth. And how do I know that? Because I've seen other people do it and tried to work it, and I know what I can create and how I've done it, right? And I did that by working towards my potential. All right. So if I'm worth seven people, all right, and that's what I thought I was worth, and wasn't, was a very honest assessment. Okay, at $700,000, and I come to you and I say, hey, I need to make at least 250, right? Well, now you got a case, right? So I want to make 250. I'm worth 700,000, right? Because that's what you're going to have to pay in order to replace me, right? I'm asking for 250. That's what let me try to see if I can do the math in my head. 700 minus 250. So that's like a $450,000 savings. right? And then they say no, like, man, you were getting a bargain. All right. And it ended up costing them that. Like, that's what I mean by knowing your value and how to negotiate with it. Right? And a lot of people don't know how to do this. And then they're too afraid to walk away. And then too many ladies, and I'm going to just tell you this, ladies, ask for more, please. We are worth so much more than what we think we are. Okay. Add a zero. Add a zero. That's the number. Whatever you think it is, add a zero, go for that number. Okay. But you also have to have that undeniability, right? Like, you can't just say, "Oh, I'm worth, $600,000 or I'm worth 6 people." No, you've got to show me that you're worth 6 people, right? Because if you're worth 24,000, but you say you're worth 600,000, well, then that's really not authentic, right? Or if they think you are, right? That's when you got to show your true value. Can AI do it? I don't know. Probably. You got to be, but what they don't have is what AI doesn't truly have yet, I think, that I think we can really bust through here is our creativity and our genius. Sometimes I'm moving faster than the AI. All right, let's go. It can just put things together for me. Sometimes I'm too the ADD's got me like in a million places. Like, make this flow better for me. Thank you. Oh, I hate rules. I always have. And I hate sorry. I hate sorry and I hate rules. I'm sorry. No, you're not. Like, what you really are is you're afraid, right? You ask something that's totally ethical, right? That can bring value to a business, and everybody has been programmed to say no, right? As even parents with kids, no, 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 no. And I think if you go back to my story of like when I was a kid, I didn't have anybody around me telling me no, you know, and so I was able because of that, you know, because nobody was around telling me no. I think I was able to see things and how they really worked, right? I married my husband. He's my no guy in my life, right? He's my no guy. Somebody has to say no. He says no to everything. It's pretty comical, actually, you know. And I figured out how to like use it, right? Like, okay, if I really fight for it, then I care about it, and then it's a yes for me, you know. And if I don't really fight for it, or if just like whatever, I don't care that much, then I know it's a no, you know. You got to start being able to use things in your life, right? Like how to figure out how things work. But I'll tell you right now, I hate people who that ask me, can I? Is it ethical? Does it bring us value? Right? Can you do it? That's it. The answer is yes. Yes. Right? But all the time I ever said, hey, do you think we can? Hey, do you think you get my idea either got stolen from me? Or the answer was no. And so I broke the rules. I did it anyway. And guess what? Lo and behold, it worked. Go figure. So, maybe save it for your own company. Maybe save it for your own thing. I'll tell you right now, just asking for permission, it's not bossy, and it keeps you stuck. So at the end of the day, like, I told you to get the party started before you need to get it started, preparation, right? But if you go to negotiate your deal and it's true and it's sound and you're undeniable and they still say no and they don't give you a good answer. Now, sometimes if they would have just given me the great answer, right? Like, hey, we can't do it right now, financially, blah, 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 right? Hey, I understand that you're creating enough value, but I'm too afraid to fire, whoever, right? Like all this, I think there's all these reasons, right? Why somebody would just say no, right? And the reality is that you got to have your own backup plan, right? And whether your backup plan is to, you know, um, go somewhere else or start your own show or just live your life, okay? Behind that, it just takes courage, okay? It takes courage to walk away, right? And if you're worth, 7 people at $700,000 and you decide to walk away, just know that whatever it is, right? Now, if you really want to stay, if you want to stay, and if you don't really want to go, okay, then don't ask for so much, okay? Or what can we do? But most of the time, I'm going to tell you, okay, if you have the intuition that it's never going to happen for whatever reason, like it's not your ride, and get with your God and figure out where you're going to play that game, right? Like ultimately that comes down to you. But if you're going to go up, negotiate your value, your contract, your future, this or that, okay, you have to walk away. But if you're going to do that in the first place, right, you're going to go up there, you got to have and you're saying, hey, if we do this, then I'm going to do this, and you better deliver too, right? You can't just be like, give me. Like, well, what are you gonna produce? What are you gonna do if I give you that? Right? And then I think when that picture isn't clear, that's where things get fuddled. And I've been both sides of this now, right? I think that's like the blessing, it's like, okay. All right. I see where they were coming from. I see it now. I get it. But we all have to do what is what's in the best interest, right, of ourselves and our families. I think a long time has come where I feel like I've evolved a little bit more and I see things from a different perspective. It doesn't always like maybe I was in this very self-centered mode about it's all about me, but I really truly believe that, you can create your own reality. You can create your dream job. You can get paid to do what you love. You just have to get really good at it and keep showing up and doing the best. So I'll bring you to this next slide. Okay, this is if you want to work with me, if you need my help, if you need anything, I'm your girl. I'll help you become undeniable. Okay, this is one of my gifts. Is I can see people's blocks, probably because I've dealt with a lot of my own, and so it's very easy. So if you're feeling blocked about anything, feel free to reach out to me. And I will kind of like help pinpoint a couple for you. All right. But if you're one of those people that, if you're blocked, and you ask for help, and you never really take anything, like I'm definitely going to block you. just being real. And then I'm going to then now share, a gift from my teacher, and that is the money tree. So, this was a gift from my spiritual teacher, Marty Berigian. And I'll tell you, when I took my husband up to, we were my bank account was negative. Um, I didn't know what to do. So I took my husband and I went up to the money tree. The next day there was like $40,000 in my bank in my mailbox, and he got a letter saying his student loan was removed. I took my girlfriend. She was very blogged about money. I said, well, what would you buy with the money? She said a farmhouse. She called me up the other day. Oh my god! Oh my god! So um, the money tree actually works. And I'm not going to do it here because this is not something that's given for free. But I'll tell you this: um, the value of the money tree is priceless. So if you want a trip to the money tree, um, you're going to either have to come out to a Minute Automotive um, or you're going to have to reach out to me personally, and because it truly works, and I've seen it do amazing things. So, without with that being said, I just want to thank you so much for your time today. This is how to connect with me. Um, like I said, here I am preparing for a situation. It's not as great. We got a little bit of refinement to do. We got some things we have to work on, but we're doing it. And happy Friday. Enjoy your weekend. And we're going to get a little bit better, a little bit wiser, a little bit faster. And we'll see if we can do it from there. So thank you so much. Appreciate you guys. Bye. Okay. We have to end this now.